Hello DevOps friends, welcome to Full Stack Live. I'm Jochen, the Monospace Mentor. Welcome to the stack. Excuse me. It's another Tuesday, another week, and another live stream. Happy to be here. If I seem to be a little woozy today, but that's because I'm having a strange day today. Hopefully the last one for a while. So I had to get up at 2 a.m. because of an alert. It wasn't significant, but it got me out of bed. Then I had to get up again at 4 to drive my family to the airport, where they left for Peru, where they will be staying for 3 weeks. So I'm home alone now. Guess I'll have to go to the DIY shop and get some cans of paint and a blowtorch for Christmas. And so then I slept all morning just to catch up with sleep. And now I'm here after having a little lunch, and so my whole schedule is completely blown today. And I might need a few rounds of Words on Stream to get my head in the game and to recenter myself. Other than that, everything is great, and I'm happy to be doing another live stream. What's probably going to throw me off as well is that I replaced my chunky old microphone with this little lapel microphone. I just couldn't stand having this microphone arm and that huge thing in front of my face. So I'm going to try this for a while, and I think having full view of my whole setup here is going to be beneficial. We'll see. It's all an experiment. Experiments are part of DevOps all the time, and it's always a good idea to do experiments to see if something works or doesn't. And my streaming setup is no exception, even on a meta level. So, what am I going to do today? That's a good question that I've been asking myself for an hour now. Thanks, SB4. That's good to know. I did a few tests, and it sounded great. One of the advantages of this microphone is that I can connect it to the ATEM Mini video switcher that I'm using to switch between video sources, for example, to get my iPad on screen when I need to draw something. And the ATEM Mini has some basic... Oh, I can see that the microphone is pulled up too far, so I'm probably hitting the limiter all the time. That should increase quality a little bit by pulling... Nope, that's the wrong microphone. I'm already getting confused. The other microphone that I'm not using was pulled up too high. So what I was about to say was that the ATEM Mini has some basic audio processing built in. It has a compressor built in, an expander, and a limiter. So I can actually use the audio processing built into the ATEM Mini, which is hardware, and that way I cannot only use it with OBS, but also have great sound on Zoom and other video conferencing solutions. So that's something that I'd also like to explore. Having stuff in hardware is sometimes a great advantage if it's capable enough. We'll see. So yeah, what am I going to do today? I will probably do some infrastructure coding. That needs to be pushed forward. I set myself a deadline for basically end of the year to get my monitoring stuff in gear. I should have this in the bag already, but there were many reasons that kept me from making progress on this project. And so I guess I need to hunker down and do something. And now with the house for myself and no one there to distract me, I might actually make some more rapid progress than before. There's always hope. Another thing that I need to do is review a document that I got from our assistant, and I'll have to do that off screen. So I guess I'll insert a short co-working session where I'm going to do some work off screen, and then we'll see. I might actually continue work on my command line application as well, because that's something that I need or want to get done. I don't need to, but I want to get it done because it's going to be very helpful. And I'll explain a little bit more about that later. No, chat isn't distracting as before. I actually like to have company, and even if it makes me go on detours and do some side quest, that's perfectly fine. I'd rather have some company while I'm doing my work than being unaccountable and end up watching YouTube all the time. So it's up to you to keep me going, and that's your responsibility now. Okay, so I guess we'll jump right into the first work item, which is the merge request for my monitoring check. So let's get started. So here we are in our infrastructure as code repository. We are using Chef to automate hundreds of Linux servers, which makes installing a monitoring software on all of them in a consistent manner very easy. We are planning to introduce Prometheus as our new monitoring system because it's so flexible and powerful. And so I'm working on a check at the moment that tests if SSH is actually working on our machines, because even though everything is automated and we don't usually do any changes manually, we still need to be able to log into a machine to check a log or to maybe restart a service after examining it more closely, things like that. So we are still relying on having SSH access to our machines. So this check is supposed to check if SSH is online and reachable. And for that, we need the Prometheus black box exporter, because Prometheus itself, as the service that collects all these system metrics, can't do specific checks if, say, a HTTP endpoint, or for that matter, a SSH endpoint is online. That is the responsibility of the so-called black box exporter. And so that's what I'm working on at the moment. And what you can see on screen is the end of my test suite that I've been running ahead of the stream, just to make sure that everything is in working order at the moment. So if something breaks, I know who to blame. And let's take a look at where we are actually. I need to remind myself where we are, to be honest. So here we are in the Prometheus_Freistyle cookbook. A cookbook is a collection of code. You could say it's a kind of a package that has all the infrastructure code for a specific purpose. In this case, the purpose is setting up Prometheus in the way that we specifically and individually need. And so there have been changes to the attributes file. I think all I did was make stylistic changes to get everything working in the test suite. The functional changes have already been made, but I'm not really sure if they have been made fully. What I need to do is spin up one of these test suites, which are simply VMs which run a specific set of recipes. So if a cookbook is a package, recipes are part of this package and take care of things in a more fine, granular manner. And as you can see, we have a server test suite and a client test suite, and we apply both of them to Ubuntu 16 and Ubuntu 20. That way we can make sure that our infrastructure code works even on outdated instances that might be still running for some reason. Technical debt. And so I'm going to spin up the more modern one for the server, because the server is where the black box exporter is going to run. The client, of course, is what's getting deployed to all our machines as the endpoints that get queried by the server. So what I'm going to do is run test kitchen converge for server Ubuntu 2004, and converge means spin up a VM, run the recipes, and then simply stop. A full test cycle would be another half, basically, where after the converge it would run the verify stage with tests that we've defined, and then it would tear down the VM again and clean everything up. But I need a running VM simply to see what state it is going to be in after my infrastructure code has run. Stupak62, welcome to the stack. Nice. From the PCP to the keycaps, exactly. Today I'm rocking my new Model F keyboard with buckling spring switches, as you probably already heard from my few keystrokes. It's my loudest keyboard and my proudest keyboard. I can't give you a look while this is running. Let's switch to my desk cam here. So that's my new Model F keyboard, IBM buckling spring switches, right from the 80s. The keyboard is actually not from the 80s, but it's a complete replica of how the IBM keyboards worked in the 80s. That is certainly a thick boy. So let me simply pull this keyboard off, say 2 centimeters off the desk, and I lean forward because that brings the microphone closer to the keyboard. And now I'm going to drop it. 1, 2, 3. It's always good if your keyboard can also serve as a defensive weapon. How are things in your neck of the woods, Stupak? Long time no talk. Good to have you here. I'm very happy. I did not have a Model M. What I got earlier in my keyboard career was what are they called? IBM sold their keyboard manufacturing to Unicomp, and so I got myself a Unicomp buckling spring keyboard back then with a Mac layout. And when I left the Mac, I passed that keyboard on to a colleague. And later then I got myself this new Model F keyboard, which you can still buy at newmodelfkeyboards.com. The maker of these keyboards has done a tremendous job of re-engineering and recreating everything and getting everything manufactured new, but replicating everything that IBM had in their Model F keyboards back in the day, which predate actually the Model M keyboards. The Model F keyboards were sold mostly with IBM terminals. There wasn't an IBM PC yet, and so these Model F keyboards are built exactly after how these Model F keyboards were built. It's a zinc case, that's why it's so heavy. I think it's easily 3 or 4 kilos. But the great thing about these Model F keyboards is that the vendor and inventor, or whatever, the manufacturer basically, built them in different keyboard layouts. So I could get my favorite keyboard layout, which is the 60% keyboard layout with HHKB layout built. And so I don't have this huge chunker of, say, a 108 key keyboard on my desk. I prefer these 60% keyboard layouts. Even though I wouldn't mind having a Battleship keyboard, the Model F122, which is full size, and even beyond that, it's the one that has the row of 24 function keys at the top. Not only 12 function keys, mind you, but 24. And I took a look at that, but in the end, the keyboard itself is, of course, extra expensive, and getting it shipped from the US would then add another heap of money upon that, and I wasn't that keen on getting it, that I would have spent that amount of money for that. Having one of them, I guess, is enough. And from the whole build of this thing, this should last me until I retire. I'm doing great. Yes, I was a little bit burnt out lately, but that has more or less ceased. I'm quite well. A little bit tired though, but that's not because of burnout, but because of a very disrupted sleep schedule. Last week we had a huge outage at the beginning of the week, which took me more or less until the weekend to recover from. So Monday to Tuesday was a 20-hour workday, and yeah, even though I tried to get more sleep than usual, I only recovered over the weekend. And today is another disrupted day because I had to get up at 2 a.m. for a minor alert. But then again, I had to get up at 4 a.m. for good in order to drive my family to the airport, where they left for Peru for 3 weeks. So I'm home alone now. Then I slept all morning just to catch up on sleep, and now I'm doing the stream. So if I seem a little bit woozy and all over the place, that's why. Yeah, my wife has friends in Peru, and Theo, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the stack. Good to have you here, buddy. Yeah, my wife has friends in Peru, and the last time we went to visit them was in 2008, 6 months after my daughter was born, and since then, we only had electronic contact, and my wife decided that it's time to visit them again, and the time over Christmas is the best, especially with the kids. So we took them out of school early, and they'll also start school a little bit late, just a few days, and that's not going to hurt anyone. But I said I need to opt out. Even though that's going to be a great experience, and I really hate missing my kids' experience with a completely different culture on a different continent. That's not a vacation. That's basically what do you call it? An exploration or something like that. And I would have required another week at least of vacation after that, and I just can't afford that from the view of my workload. So I had to opt out and said, okay, I'll take care of the house in that time, and we'll definitely keep in touch, and I need to be informed about everything that's going to be happening, but I can't accompany you. Exactly. Yeah, that's true too. I didn't even think of that. Being on that kind of a trip and having on-call duty definitely would have complicated things enormously, and I simply can't ask my team to cover me for that long. And so, yeah, there are many reasons why I'm staying behind, and I need some advice from Macaulay Culkin to deal with everything here. Theo's woozy as well. Join the club. Join the woozy club. Okay, my VM has spun up. And yeah, I'm already planning to go to the DIY shop and get myself some cans of paint and a blowtorch for Christmas. So, now, that's my VM spun up, and yeah, I just had to think of what I'm actually going to do. Let's actually enter that VM. So with Test Kitchen login, which I've shortened to TKS, like Test Kitchen shell, I can enter the VM and see what my infrastructure code has done. So that's going to be server, because I'm testing the server setup, Ubuntu 20.04, that's what I've spun up. And that gives me a shell inside this VM, which is managed by Vagrant, as you can see. So let's go into Etsy Prometheus. Doesn't that keyboard sound great? And there should be a blackboxexporter.yaml. And let me see what that looks like. So the Blackbox exporter offers Prometheus a few endpoints here. One is the ping endpoint, which uses the ICMP prober. So the probers that are built into the Blackbox exporter, and so they can do tests. And then there's the HTTP prober, which sends a HTTP request and checks if we get HTTP 1.1 or 2.0. The status codes are empty, which I hope makes the Blackbox exporter use its default settings. Method is get, the most simple one, and follow redirects is true. We simply want to make sure that something is reachable via HTTP. Of course, Betheo, enjoy lurking. And then there's the SSH banner endpoint, which uses the TCP prober, so a very generic prober, but I've narrowed things down by expecting a specific response to our TCP query. So when we connect, I expect there to be a string SSH 2.0 after we've sent the SSH 2.0 Blackbox SSH check string. Maybe there's a way to change the order of these things, because first we need to send and then we need to expect. I'm not sure if that's actually the order that this has been written in. Let me see, is this part of the, yeah, that's part of the node attributes, where I can define this as a Ruby hash. And that then gets translated into YAML automatically. But running out of hard drive space is something that can be solved, isn't it, Stupak? There's always bigger RAID. I've relegated my Synology RAID to a backup system where I simply store backups. Everything else, including my media library, has now gone to my HomeLab server, which I've built a few weeks ago. And that HomeLab server has 4 6-terabyte hard disks in there, so I'm enjoying 18 terabytes of available disk space there, so there is room to grow. And over time I'll be able to replace these 6 terabyte hard disks with, say, 8 or 10 terabyte ones. So I won't need a new server, I'll simply start replacing the hard disks. And since I've built the HomeLab server from a Dell workstation that has a hot swap bays for the hard disks, that's going to be very easy. Oh, you already have 12 terabyte drives. That's impressive. Yeah, ZFS needs a little bit headspace, doesn't it? The HomeLab server also is now using ZFS. That's my first encounter with the ZFS, actually. Yeah, it's actually amazing. I actually was a little bit afraid of using ZFS. That's why I never touched it before, but I got it packaged nicely in the form of TrueNAS scale, and so that was an easy entry. And I really like what it does. And I think it might actually be a great improvement for our hosting infrastructure as well. So an experiment that I want to do in the near future is using ZFS as the base file system for our database clusters. and use ZFS snapshots and replication to set up MySQL replication across servers. And so that's going to be very interesting. I'm excited to see how this works and if that's going to be a practical improvement. So I've replaced, or I reordered these two entries here. I'll send my entry message here, and then I expect something back. I'm not sure if SSH simply echoes back what we've sent or if that's something different, and that's why we only check the first few characters here. It's something I should know, maybe? Yeah, so the command line tool that I might tackle later in this stream is actually to make using extra backup a little bit easier, which we are using at the moment to clone a database to a new replication follower. But ZFS and snapshots and replication might greatly simplify that process, at least from what I've seen so far. All right, apart from that, well, let's run another converge, which should make this slight change to our YAML file. Because I've changed the order in an array, the order in the configuration file is supposed to change as well. Let's verify if that's actually the case. Yes, now we have send and expect in the right in the right order. And I think that is all that we need on the Blackbox exporter side, because all the Blackbox exporter needs to offer is these endpoints. Thanks for stopping by, Stupak. Have fun dropping your kids off at school, and have a great rest of your day. Maybe we'll talk later. The Blackbox exporter simply has these, let's call them API endpoints, and the Prometheus server then is going to be configured to use these endpoints with specific details, say a host name for the ping endpoint. So we'll provide it with an endpoint, with a target to ping, and then it'll send an ICMP request, receive hopefully a response back, and then it'll report the results, say the round trip time and all these metrics, back to Prometheus. Same goes for the HTTP 2XX endpoint. We'll have to provide it with a URL, of course. That's the minimum. We might be able to add a few headers or something like that, but the URL is mandatory, I guess. And then it'll do the HTTP request and report back what the response was, how long it took, and all these things. And same goes for the SSH banner. We'll simply give it a host name, then it'll try to connect to port 22. And send the string, expect a similar string back, and then again it'll report back if the query was successful and all the metrics around it. So the next step that we need to verify is that Prometheus is configured to actually provide the Blackbox exporter with this information, and that happens in its so-called scrape configs. And as you can see here, there is a job named ping, where we have a 1 second scrape interval. Usually we won't do that in production though. That's a little bit too much. I guess we can ping a machine every 10 seconds or even every minute. And so in its URL parameters, there's a static entry where we send module equals ping. That tells the Blackbox exporter that it's supposed to use its ping module. That's and you've seen its definition. And then we need to take a few configurations and relabel them. I'll skip that for the time being. Here we have the static configs for this job, and there's a static list of targets. In this case, it's just localhost. And with these relabel configurations, we'll end up with a call to localhost port 9115. That's the black box exporter. And it'll get the host name, which is localhost, and the module name, which is ping. So it'll ping localhost and return the result. And we have another job that is named SSH, and it uses the SSH banner module of the black box exporter, always with the /probe URL endpoint here, because that's how black box exporter works. And also a static list of targets, which is also SSH. And then we have additional jobs that aren't related to the black box exporter, where we actually query metrics directly from port 9090, which is Prometheus itself. So that gives us health information about the Prometheus server itself. And then we have the node exporter, which is a more basic metrics collection daemon that runs on all clients, which we can reach on port 19100. And in this case, it's going to query our test instance as well, but with its official hostname. That's something that has been in place already, because as it's not related to the black box exporter, it's also not of interest to me right now. That looks good, and I think we are actually verifying these things in our test suite. So let's do a test kitchen verify of our VM, but we can't do that from inside the VM, so I need a different window. Here I can simply replace TKC, test kitchen converge, with TKV, test kitchen verify, and that runs all my tests. Let's see if this test suite is complete. It's not, because there's not even a single test. Okay, so that raises the question, am I going to copy the tests that I already have in the other cookbook that we are using as the foundation of this one? I don't think it's good practice to simply copy tests, because they have already been tested elsewhere. I wonder if I'm supposed to do that or not. Let's see. How is this set up? SSH banner is used with a static query response. No, I need to see the Prometheus setup actually. So okay, so there is no Prometheus setup here yet. And I guess this cookbook is not going to provide us with one either. Oh yes, it will. Here we are setting up the node exporter job. And for its target list, we actually use a query to the Chef server, which has a database of all our servers and nodes. We'll do the node exporter job for all nodes that are part of the same Chef environment as our Chef server. And I think what we need to do is to set up the same for the ping job. We'll run that every 10 seconds as well, with a static search We won't need a target port in that instance. We just need a target query. And wherever we've defined the existing ping job, which is probably the test suite definition, we'll need to remove that. Yeah, here we need to take this and turn this into Ruby syntax. So let's post that here. So we have a scrape interval, we have a target discovery, which is not going to be a static list like here. It's going to be a static search, with the search query being look for a Chef environment that is the same as this node's Chef environment, this server's Chef environment. So all the nodes that are in the same Chef environment will get this ping job executed upon them. We already have defined a scrape interval. We'll need to define a metrics path. So I guess I'll just paste that in here and turn that into a Ruby hash. Whoops. Nope, that wasn't what I was intending to do. And then we'll have a hash of params. And I think now Copilot will be able to translate that for me. So we'll need a module ping. Just the indentation needs to be right. And then we need to have a relabel configs, which is going to be an array, correct? And the first array element is going to be a hash. Of source label and target label. I hate that the indentation is broken here. Maybe it's because this is breaking the parser, actually. So let's comment that. Copilot should still be able to interpret that. So the next hash is going to be source labels param target. With target label instance, correct? Trust but verify. And the final array entry is going to be target label address. And the replacement is going to be strange. Why doesn't it complete that correctly? Okay, that's the I guess it's I didn't close the relabel configs array, and that also broke my parser, I guess. So that's that, and that's the whole thing. So by doing it this way, instead of hardwiring it into my test environment, we still have to close the params hash here too. Now we should be syntactically correct, which means we should be able to run Test Kitchen Converge and still get a working job definition. Let's see what happens. So, inside our container, let's take another look at the Prometheus YAML. It should be similar, but slightly changed. So, we have the ping job name, which pings every 10 seconds. Metrics path is probe. We'll use module ping. And here we have the relabel configs. Source labels. Okay, so that got rendered differently, but it's still an array. It's just written explicitly instead of with the square brackets. Target label is param target, source labels is param target, target label instance, and then finally the address gets replaced with the address of our black box exporter. Wait, that's below params though. That's wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. I have botched the... Or have I? Haven't I? Yeah, params has only a single entry. So... So the goal of this cookbook is actually to set up our production monitoring configuration. And that's why we are using a search for the whole Chef environment. That gives us a list of all nodes that are in the same environment as the server. And that way we get a production ready configuration. Let's take a look if it is actually production ready. So there's still relabel configs nested under parameters, which was wrong, but it's still there. I think maybe that is an effect of running it with a broken configuration first, and now there is remainders of that broken config still on the target VM. I might have to recreate this VM to get a clean configuration, but let's take a look at the relabel configs. That is that, and I'm particularly interested in the static configs, and I still get server Ubuntu, so my test instance, as the target. However, it adds a port number, and I think that's a bug in our logic. Because the target should also be... It should be possible to have a single host name as a target without a port number. And here our underlying base cookbook adds a default port number, and that's not correct. The 9100 is, I think, the local node exporter instance. And so we might have to change the logic in there, that it doesn't actually add a port if there is none defined. A default port number shouldn't be added here. Yeah, the hard-coded SSH job does still simply use a host as a target, and that should be possible without having a default port added by mistake. Okay, that requires another upstream change in the base cookbook that we are using here, but for the time being I'll simply file an issue for that. Let's do that quickly. Let me go into our GitLab instance. And where are our projects? So there is already an issue on which I'm working at the moment. whose number I should get by simply looking at my branch name. So that's issue 881. So I'll pull up issue 881 here. Which is the base issue. Setup production ready black box exporter. And I need to create a new issue. Stupagas, so I still have to work a full day when I get called in the middle of the night. I don't have to do anything, I own the business, so... what I usually do is, depending on what state I'm in, I'll sleep in for a few hours, maybe for the whole morning, and then get back to work if I'm completely destroyed, like after Monday last week. I'll take the full day off. And actually we took the full day off with everyone who was involved, so Tuesday was a very quiet day at the business. We only did the most important support requests, but other than that we took the time to recover, and deservedly so. So yeah, what I expect from our team is that they judge for themselves how much time they need to take off. Of course, I want everyone to function properly, and if that requires them taking the day off, then it is what it is. There is no need to be a hero. Heroes don't get paid extra. And if you take the day off, you get paid the same, so we actually have an unlimited day time off, paid time off policy. Expecting everyone to use that responsibly. So how do I phrase this issue? I'll call this the Prometheus X cookbook adds a default port to target hosts, and we can even name that port. That's 9100 to target hosts if none is given. That prevents target definitions consisting of just host names, as is necessary for the black box exporter. For example, ping or SSH. I'll assign that right to me. Where's the monitoring milestone? Ah yeah, here, observability restored. Label is definitely a bug. Okay. That's issue 884. So let's go back to 881 and add that as a blocker. Link item. Is blocked by. Okay, so that makes sure that I don't forget about this. A Steam Deck, that's amazing. And you had to test it, of course. Yeah, I can see how that works. This is a great Linux machine, and it does so much for Linux as a gaming platform. Don't tell me you got the OLED one. Okay, okay, so that's not what I need. That's confusing. Actually, I have. I don't think I've ever tried the gyro feature. I need to pick a few games where that makes sense and try it out. Sorry, what do you think would benefit from the gyro? I could use it with Portal. That's a great idea. Not even sure. Did I install Portal on the Steam Deck? Yeah, I need to. Now that I have the house for me in the evenings, I might actually get to play with the Steam Deck myself instead of just my 10-year-old. We'll see. I'm half expecting myself to be sitting here in 2 weeks' time, crying into my Steam Deck, missing my family. Okay, oh, I'm getting woozy again. So, apart from the wrong port number, this is looking okay, isn't it? Yeah. No, it was the double relabel configs thing. So I'll actually go ahead and I'll log out here, because now I'm going to delete this VM with Test Kitchen delete. And then I'll do another Test Kitchen converge with a fresh VM, just to see if this strange double configuration still happens. So, while this is running, how about some words on stream? Let's see.
It's a Unix system.
Pure Cypher. Welcome to the stack. Thank you for following. So, I need to log in here. And I guess I need to copy the new URL for this. So here we go. And we need sound. I guess that would actually work. Nope, sound doesn't work. But we'll do it without sound. Oh, my brain isn't in it at all. I don't think names are even allowed. You must be kidding me. Grabbing the biggest one. Let me get the sound working, actually. Let's see. I'll leave the playing field to you while I'm trying to fix this. So here's that. We need to... Oops. Just a second. That needs to go to virtual cable B. Here we go. Wait for me! Wait for me! Well, I guess we can always try and... What the fuck? If biotech works, tech should work too. Well, still, you got us to the next level, so... that's fine. Let's continue. Need to get my brain juices flowing here. I would never have found that. Reminder, you have to wait until the lock has been passed if you have found a solution. Exegete, welcome to the stack. Ooh, chime. Nice. What is chime? with a Y. Yeah, I guess there are still 4 more 4-letter words. You're really, really, really good. And we'll do another round, and then I'll continue coding. I feel my adrenaline rising. Ah, freaking hell! How does remote not work? There's... Oh, there's no 2 E's. Okay. Oh, we already had wrote. Okay. How did Homer work? Normally names aren't allowed. I think. I need to read up on the rules. Tor, nice. Oh, the Homer as a noun. Okay. Great job, everyone. That got me back into the game, so I'll go out of the game. Okay, we have a new Converge, so I should be able to log in again, and let's take a look at the configuration file. What are we working on? I'm a little bit all over the place today because I had a completely disrupted sleep schedule today. I had to drop my family off at the airport because they left me. They left me for Peru. They'll spend 3 weeks or almost 4 weeks over the holidays in Peru with friends. And I decided not to join them because I would have to take another week of vacation just to recover from that. So I'm home alone for the next few weeks, which means there will probably be more live coding streams than usual because I need some company. And yeah, I definitely feel like I'm missing out. First of all, I would have loved to meet our friends over there as well. I last saw them in 2008 when we went there over Christmas, which is always a strange experience because there's summer in Peru at this time of year. I'm definitely hating that I miss the experience my kids are going to have with being on a different continent, being in a different culture, with people speaking different languages. So yeah.
Exegitio just redeemed RTFM.
Exegete. Was that really necessary? We are going to do an RTFM. I'm going to read the fucking manual, in this case the fucking RFC, and So, yes. Wait, just the section 232. Okay. If that's what you wish. So keep your clip finger ready. Let me see. Ah, come on. I'll give you a bonus. We'll do a bit more. I'll do the intro section and then we'll do 232. Okay? So let's get going. RFC 2324 Hypertext Coffee Pot Control Protocol HTCP/1.0. Status of this memo. This memo provides information for the Internet community. It does not specify an Internet standard of any kind. Distribution of this memo is unlimited. Section 1. Rationale and Scope. There is coffee all over the world. Increasingly, in a world in which computing is ubiquitous, the computists want to make coffee. Coffee brewing is an art, but the distributed intelligence of the web-connected world transcends art. Thus, there's a strong, dark, rich requirement for a protocol designed expressly for the brewing of coffee. Coffee is brewed using coffee pots. Networked coffee pots require a control protocol if they are controlled. Increasingly, home and consumer devices are being connected to the Internet. Early networking experiments demonstrated vending devices connected to the Internet for status monitoring. One of the first remotely operated machine to be hooked up to the Internet, the Internet Toaster, controlled via SNMP, was debuted in 1990.
I know this.
The demand for ubiquitous appliance connectivity that is causing the consumption of the IPv4 address space. Consumers want remote control of devices such as coffee pots so that they may wake up to freshly brewed coffee, or cause coffee to be prepared at a precise time after the completion of dinner preparations. This document specifies a hypertext coffee pot control protocol, HTCP/CP, which permits the full request and responses necessary to control all devices capable of making the popular caffeinated hot beverages. HTTP 1.1 in RFC 2068 permits the transfer of web objects from origin servers to clients. The web is worldwide. HTCP/CP is based on HTTP. This is because HTTP is everywhere. It could not be so pervasive without being good. Therefore, HTTP is good. If you want good coffee, HTCP/CP needs to be good. To make HTCP/CP good, it is good to base HTCP/CP on HTTP. Future versions of this protocol may include extensions for espresso machines and similar devices. I'm skipping the most part of section 2, except for the one that was requested. Which is section 232, status code 418, I'm a teapot. Any attempt to brew coffee with a teapot should result in the error code 418, I'm a teapot. The resulting entity body may be short and stout. All right. Yeah, you didn't want to distract me, but it's just too much fun. So thank you very much. And Doc the Warlock, welcome to the stack. Happy to have you here. Thank you for following. This RFC was written before internet payment for vending machines, wasn't it? Yeah, I guess so. What was the date in the head? I think it was 1990 something. 1st of April 1998. So yeah, it was quite early on the internet. These references to HTTP were more substantial than we can appreciate today. Okay, thanks for that. And let's get back to our code. I just logged into my server. Thank you. Yeah, I thought that would be a great idea. A dramatic reading of a manual page or of an RFC. All right, I'm logged in, so I guess what I wanted to do, I'm sorry, because, yeah, my brain is really fried. I didn't get enough sleep, and not at the right time. So I wanted to take a look at the black box exporter config. That should still be all right. Nope, not in Etsy. We need to go into Prometheus. Oh dear. I'm pretty sure that would be hilarious to exegete. I'm not really good at doing impressions. Okay, so that is still okay, but that was to be expected. Now, let's look at Prometheus YAML. We have the scrape config SSH. Now there's just the short params section, so the recreation of our test VM did actually fix things. Then the relabel configs are on the same level. And finally, we have the static list of targets. And it doesn't have a port. Look at that. I might have filed an issue by mistake. I'm surprised to see that. There is no default port, so that was a side effect as well. Huh. Amazing. Let's see. The ping job, though, still has relabel configs on the wrong level. However, the ping job has been defined in the test suite, hasn't it? No, the ping job. Oh, the SSH job is correct. And that's why it has the correct indentation and all, but the ping job is broken. And does it? Oh dear. Does it have? It doesn't have the double relabel configs, but it's still under module. And the target list now has an empty host name and a wrong default port. So the issue is valid after all. Oh dear. Okay. Now, why is that broken? How does relabel configs end up under module? if it's definitely not coded like this in here. Did I not save the kitchen YAML? No idea, but let's also take the SSH configuration into our node attributes. Just so we have everything in here. So let's add that as a comment. Let's make this valid from the start. And I hope that'll give Copilot enough to work with, so I don't have to type everything. Yeah, looks like it. And this time indentation works because the syntax is correct. That's nice. Nope. I need to help a little bit. SSH banner. Do you see what I'm doing here, Copilot? Maybe I should have put the comment block above, which is probably more like the logic that we could expect. So now we need a source label's address. Target label is param target, yep. But that's going to be a hash. That has to be a hash, so I have to indent that. Close the hash. Now we'll have another hash, sorry. And that's going to be param target. Target label is instance, yes. Close this one, open this one, and finally we'll turn address into the static address of the black box exporter, which is actually a localhost. No idea why I have to type this myself in the end. Port 9115, and that's that. So now we can get rid of this. And my Prometheus section here doesn't have to be there at all. There's still a syntax issue because we'll have to close this array. Yep, there's an array there too, so syntactically this is all correct. But I guess it'll also end up as a broken configuration. Dr. Warlock, wasn't it you who asked, just a second, what we are cooking? Yeah, so what we are cooking is infrastructure as code. And cooking is the right word because the infrastructure as code tool I am using here and my company is using for automating hundreds of Linux servers is called Chef, and it uses the whole kitchen metaphor for everything it does. So you structure your infrastructure code into cookbooks, which are basically packages with a specific purpose. In this case, I'm working on a cookbook that sets up Prometheus for our production environment. And cookbooks consist of recipes, which are single source code files that do specific things, which basically are components of the whole thing. So as you can see here, this cookbook has two recipes. One is called Node Exporter and the other is called Prometheus, because one sets up Prometheus as the central monitoring service, and the other sets up Node Exporter, which gets run on all of our hosts. So this is the client endpoint, basically, the agents, you could say. And for testing this, there is a tool called Test Kitchen, which then spins up VMs and runs this infrastructure code on a virtual Linux machine. And you can have, of course, have multiple Linux distributions that you can test and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we are cooking. And at the moment, I'm setting up the black box exporter, which allows Prometheus to trigger specific requests using specific protocols. You can trigger a HTTP request, for example, just to contact, say, a website to see if it's up and if it's even responding with the right response. You can also do a TCP connection, which we are using in the SSH configuration here, where we actually connect on port 22 to the target instance and see if it does return the SSH banner. If not, we'll get an alert. And so here we're defining the ping job that does an ICMP request, expecting an ICMP response back. And up here we have, we need to rename that. Maybe that was what confused Copilot as well. It needs to be named SSH because we use the SSH banner module that we've defined on the black box exporter side. Okay, so that's that. Now let's run test kitchen converge again with this new code. That will change our Prometheus configuration file. And I expect it to break it, unfortunately, because for some reason the nesting doesn't work. Let's see. So here we have the scrape config for SSH now. We have params, we have relabel configs, and we have static configs with a correct server name, but the port number is wrong, because that at the moment gets added by default, which is a bug. We'll ignore the Prometheus and Node Exporter jobs because they are out of scope at the moment. And then we have the ping job where we have the params. We have relabel configs, and we again have the host name with the wrong node, the wrong port number. So everything seems to be in order, actually. No, wait. Source labels, address. Yeah, target label. That looks okay. It's just written without the square brackets. That's why I'm confused a little bit, but that looks correct, actually. So the nesting seems to have fixed itself. Interesting. This code will always run on Linux machines, and there are basically a mix of bare metal machines where we need the raw performance, cloud instances where we need the flexibility, and there are even a few containers left where we run LXC to basically have a lightweight compartmentalization. But most of our infrastructure is either bare metal servers or cloud instances. So I guess this is working correctly. The only problem is that the underlying cookbook, which does the basic setup of Prometheus, has that default port bug, which we'll have to fix. But I think before I switch cookbooks here, I'll quickly commit this and then take a short break. And then I'll be back and we'll fix the port number bug. So I need to go here. Let's see, we have modified this cookbook. And that does look good. So we've mostly moved everything from the kitchen YAML file, where only our test configuration is stored, to the attributes file, which will actually be rolled out in our production environment. So because I want to have this check configuration in place on our machines and not only here in my test environment, that's why we've moved everything over from the kitchen.yaml file to this attributes/default file. Let's see, what was my latest entry here? Work in progress. Okay, so yeah, we'll just do the same. I'll add everything and do a work in progress commit. That's fine. And I hope I'll be able to push this. I guess that's because... Oh! Is there already a merge request out on this change? Or can I just do a force push? Let me quickly check. No, there's not a merge request at the moment, so we can actually do a force push. All right, so let me take a short break. I'll also do an ad break, and when I'm back, we'll fix the port number bug, and then we might actually be able to submit a merge request for this. Okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll be back in a sec. And we're back, so let's tackle that bug. I'll switch port, I switch branches here, not ports. The bug is about the port. So, yeah, the bug has the issue number. Let's see. That's issue number 884. So let's do Let's check out main, or master in that case. We still haven't renamed that. Let's do a git pull just to be sure that we are up to date. Then we'll check out 884 Prometheus target port. 884 is the most important information here because that allows us to actually check our issue list with the whole description of things. So we can make the branch name reasonably short and still have all the necessary information that we need. And I'll have to actually leave this VM and actually shut them down, so we can actually free up the resources. And I'll close this as well. And I'll open a new window here now in the Prometheus X cookbook, which is the base cookbook that does all the generic base functionality that's not specific to our infrastructure. So that's a cookbook that I actually intend to open source. I'll just have to write the automation that it gets pushed to GitHub automatically out of our private repository into a separate repository. That needs a little bit of work. Apart from that, it should be able to be open sourced and work nicely for everyone, while the other Prometheus cookbook is very specific to our infrastructure and there's no sense in publishing that. So yeah, let's close all our buffers here and let's go here. And let me see the actual Prometheus cookbook. And let me just go on a side note here. I think I was opening my heart here to you. Lately, I felt really nostalgic for my early days of programming, where I read lots of computer science books at age 15, 16. Books about software engineering, about structured programming and things like that. And then I started programming and even did my first freelance job. And I wrote really neat source code in obscure languages such as Clipper or Pascal and things like that. And I tried to explore this a little bit and find out why I was so nostalgic and why I was longing for these times. And I think it was because this current way of programming, what I'm doing here on a day-to-day basis, is not really software engineering. It's more Lego, building, putting blocks together, and seldom do I have to do something more sophisticated and stuff that needs to be modularized and put into different modules and source code files with neat comment blocks at the top that tell you what this is all about and stuff like that. So I'm thinking back on printed listings of my source code, where it all started with a screen full of comments, not only with the author name but also descriptions and stuff like that, where everything was neat and tidy and nicely designed. And I think I'm missing that. I think that the point why I'm thinking about maybe trying out programming in Ada is because it would get me back to the days of where I did proper software development. And I only get that a little bit when I work on my Ruby on Rails application, because that's really programming, and I want to get back to do it more neatly by adding yard comments, for example, to get more inline documentation in there, but that's something different. So the problem is, most of the time these cookbooks are just about a sequence of resources like down here, where I have a file resource that writes a file. The rules file path is the file path that needs to be written, and I define a comment and define the file owner, file mode, and if there is a trigger necessary that causes other resources to respond. And that's it. So mostly Chef infrastructure coding is about stringing together these resources that either Chef itself or third-party developers have prepared for you, and that's perfectly fine, of course. That's what Chef is about. You define configuration files that need to be written, you define services that need to be restarted, and all that stuff. That's all fine and dandy, but it doesn't feel like software engineering. The engineer in me is screaming to get out and do something. And yeah. And I'll get back to that in a second, but let me catch up on chat. So Spartan said, that's a real loaded topic. I recently had someone look at my resume and deny me an interview because they labeled me a scripter who didn't build things from scratch, which is an awful take for someone who has software engineer on their resume for like a decade. Yeah, it is. 100% I agree. That's just silly. And I'm not sure how they would be even able to get that from your resume alone. That's a real arrogant take, and you might be better off for getting denied to that interview, I guess. Still a bummer, sure, and understand that, but yeah, that's just such a bad take. And I see that Balthazar basically said the same thing. Job description literally described me perfectly, though, so it stings. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. That's just the broken hiring process for you. The hiring EM had something like 15 years at Google, though. Elitism and toxic tech. Yeah, it could be. And I mean, if they have plenty of applicants, they'll probably be able to apply the Google hiring strategy, which is only even take a look at the top 5 to 1% and deny everyone else, because they can do it if they have enough applicants. And they know perfectly well that they'll sieve out perfectly valid people. Yeah, but that's how it is. It is what it is, I think. Doc, in a corporate environment, you get these things. That's just how big companies evolve to be elitist and toxic that way. I guess the silver lining to that is that other companies that have a more healthy and human culture will be able to maybe hire the people that were declined in that way at these other places. You might be spot on there, Spartan. Smaller companies, or maybe even your own company, but that's a whole different can of worms. I'm definitely, well, I'm unemployable anyway by this time. No one will hire a 53-year-old, regardless of their expertise and experience. But I wouldn't want to work in any kind of that environment again, not even for a day. So that's one thing. Having a small company that actually values you and where you really have tight relationships with your team, I think that's just more healthy and more fun. So getting back to, I think, wait, there was a thought that I wanted to get in as well. So I guess another way to describe what I'm feeling at the moment with my work is that I actually feel more like a scripter than a software engineer. And I think I can change that, because the reason why I prefer Chef as an imperative way of doing infrastructure as code over declarative approaches like, say, Ansible, is that I can actually write Ruby code. And in this recipe, I do that extensively, actually. As you can see here, I do a lot of munging to actually get my configuration more. And by the way, this line here is the culprit. If I want to feel more like a software engineer, I should do what software engineers do and not just plop that in as inline Ruby here. What I should do actually, and I want to do actually, is to extract that into its own class, where we can compartmentalize that a little bit more into separate methods and apply the single responsibility principle and things like that, and then use that class or even these classes, which are the result of this refactoring, in here, so that this recipe goes back to just being a sequence of Chef resources with just a few lines of Ruby code peppered in where we instantiate these objects, and then we can use the data from these objects in our resources. So this recipe returns to be a proper Chef recipe, just a sequence of resources, but there is the more complex code that has been extracted into a library, into classes, where they are properly defined and easier to maintain and easier to understand. So I think that's how I'll regain my sense of engineering accomplishment. Yeah, that's definitely something that I should do, which might actually be the next step after I've fixed this bug. Let me take a look at chat again. Bethesda wrote, there's an ideal company size, somewhere around 100 to 500 people, where they're big enough to have resources and do cool things, but small enough that bullshit isn't bonkers. Yep. Maybe it's just about Dunbar's number, so about 100 to 150 people. So everyone is still going to be able to know everyone else. That's definitely somewhere where I would draw the line for growth for a business of mine. Spartan wrote, the grind to meet arbitrary bars that don't represent your day-to-day. That's a young man's game. The hiring process is just broken. Yes, it is. Agree 100%. Doc wrote, I work at a small company that keeps me pretty happy, but eventually I imagine I might do my own thing. Yep. If you have the opportunity to save a little bit on the side, just to have some runway to get your own thing off the ground and do an experiment, if you can actually get product market fit, meaning you get your first few customers that might actually then pay for your growth, that would be a great thing. That's how I started a few businesses. Most of them failed due to my own mistakes, but my current business now has been running for 13 years, and I'm very happy. I couldn't be happier. Financial institutions and insurance companies in the US are friendly to older people. Interesting. I wouldn't have expected that, to be honest. But Stupak apparently is in insurance himself. Okay. Spartan wrote, yeah, I assume this is a common sentiment. I don't agree there's some difference between scripting/coding, but sometimes the imposter syndrome hits, and when someone else with a toxic attitude echoes internal monologue, it sucks, despite knowing your internal monologue is just not right. Yeah, that's also true. Not all voices in your head are friendly. There's also one author of a book I read called it Aunt Alice, who keeps nagging and keeps putting you down. And yeah, so part of taking care of your mental health is putting Aunt Alice in her place. Thankfully, in my case, it's not quite imposter syndrome, because I know I can do software engineering, and that's why I'm thinking about doing some side project in Ada or something like that, where I can really stretch that muscle. But in fact, I can apply my skills to my day-to-day job as well by simply practicing what I'd like to do. By practicing actual software engineering methods. Now, as I said, I've already identified where the problem lies. I just scrolled away. Where is it? I could just search for 9100. Here we are. Here is a port number. When we do a static search, we either take the target port, which I didn't provide in my other cookbook, or we'll set it to 9100, which is basically the node exporter port. And that's just not right. There should be the possibility of not having a port at all. So I guess, how do we have to change this then? This mapping basically needs to have, we need to have a conditional around this. So basically something like if config, if we have a target port, we'll not have to apply a default port. I guess I'll just simply create a proc that we can use for this map here. So how would we call this? It maps a node into its host name. Let's simply call it address. Address. So what we can do is actually say address underscore map equals if config. If we have a port, then we'll use this. So that's that. And else and Copilot already guessed right. And instead of port, we'll let's actually use the port variable after all, but without the default port number. So we can actually say if port, then we'll use port. If not, we won't use it, and then we can simply pass address map to our map call here, and that should do the trick. Sky High Phoenix, welcome to the stack, by the way. Good to have you. Right, I am at a crossroads right now. I have to choose between a big healthcare provider with boring Oracle PLSQL job for a 5-year contract and a 50% raise now, with no raise for 5 years and an 8-year-old startup, which is not quite a startup anymore, I'd wager, with steady growth and 20 employees. Less money now, but regular raises. I think Doc already said what I'm about to say. Wow, is no raise still comfortable for you? If you can manage or write without the raise, I'd avoid a 5-year contract personally. Otherwise, that's a difficult choice. Yeah, it really depends on how much you depend on the money, I guess, because a 50% raise is substantial. But you won't get a raise for 5 years. That's a big bet, though, isn't it? Because depending on how the economy changes in the next 5 years, your company might actually prosper a lot, especially if it's a big healthcare provider. I don't think they can fail. And I'd be afraid that you'll see your company grow its revenue year over year without any impact at all to your paycheck. I am quite fearful what that is going to do to your motivation. Because shouldn't salary be at least in some way, be tied to your business's success? And an 8-year-old startup with steady growth is a great foundation, isn't it? 20 employees, you'll know everyone. You can go to lunch together with the whole company, basically. If you reserve a table ahead. Less money, but regular raises. I can't tell you what to do, but I know what I would choose. Might be biased because I'm running a small company myself, but yeah. Bethesda wrote, for my front-end folks, I have an interesting problem and I'd love to bounce it off to you. Okay, let's see what Bethesda is up to. Working on a new inventory management app for our friend's business. AWS says, I tried to get him to build a Rube Goldbergian product against zillions of their platform things. Oh god. Currently I got an import process that provides a review process prior to committing the imports. Makes sense. For super large imports, my browser tab is crashing when trying to respond with all the data. Isn't pagination the solution to that? Not actually dumping everything into a single page. That's how my accounting software does it, for example. If I import a huge bank statement with lots of items, it'll simply break them up into into several pages, and that way it's much easier to render and to actually manage. And Sky High Phoenix follows up, ignoring the money. The Oracle job is just the Oracle job. Oof. Really, just doing data munging in PLSQL? Is that something that you'd like to do for 5 years? Let's be honest here, Sky Phoenix. Isn't it the case that you've already decided what you want to do, but you need someone to confirm that for you? I have a gut feeling that you already know where to go. Balthazar wrote, I want to validate why the crash is happening. I imagine I'm bursting a memory cap, but I don't know if it's because the document is getting too big or the JavaScript object is getting too big. Okay, that's definitely a front-end thing. I can't help you there. I would start by looking into the developer tools and see if I can see how much memory gets consumed and what actually happens if maybe the JavaScript engine is crashing or something like that. But that's all I can recommend at this point without doing my own research. Okay, you guys chew on that one while I take care of this. So we haven't actually done a test for this case where we don't have a port number. So I'll have to add that, but first I want to simply see if my existing tests still work or if I have broken anything by splitting this up into 2 different code paths here. So what I'm going to do is actually I'll go here where I'm already in the Prometheus X cookbook directory. We have a few test suites here as well. That's the default one and the Prometheus one. And I changed something that affects the Prometheus one. So we'll simply do a test kitchen test for Prometheus Ubuntu 2004. Test kitchen test means that's the whole kit and caboodle from spinning up a VM, deploying our infrastructure code, running the whole infrastructure code, running the test suite, and if everything goes well and the tests are successful, then it'll tear down the VM again. If tests fail, it'll leave the VM running for me to investigate. Five years of a steady job with working from home with no pressure against the startup grind. I guess I do need that excitement in my life at this point. The excitement of working in a startup? I'm not sure what you're referring to here. You know what? I'd be really sad if I'd be really sad to see someone who's that kind of burnt out that they would choose the steady paycheck with utterly mind-numbing, boring work over the challenge. Again, that's my own subjective bias because I thrive on challenges, and whenever I get bored, I do shoddy work. That cost me at least one job because my job was so boring I probably started all kinds of stuff on the side just to keep my mind busy. And then I did a bad job in what I was supposed to do, and my contract didn't get renewed. I don't assume that that everyone is the same, but personally, I'm always sad to see people that say, well, I only have 10 more years to do, and I'll sit there at my Oracle prompt and do stuff, and I'll get the 50% salary increase, and I won't have any job satisfaction, and the only satisfaction I'll get is from looking at my monthly paycheck. That's really sad to me. Work shouldn't be that way, I think. Actually spent one summer playing World of Warcraft at work. I did things like that in just a few summer jobs during high school and college, but not in later jobs. Then I got myself busy doing all kinds of stuff, like teaching myself web development and things like that. And Coco Pistolero said I definitely lost a job because I was too bored to engage. Yeah.
It's a Unix system.
That's if your job isn't engaging, that's just terrible. Propenster! Welcome to the stack. Thanks for following. Some engineers really don't care what they're working on, though. Yeah. I mean, good for them. Good for them if they're happy that way. That's okay. I think I would more or less burn out on boredom. And I think my whole life would suffer. My family would suffer because I'd be grumpy all day and without any job satisfaction and things like that. I would end up being a broken man, I think. Not putting too dramatic a tone on that. So basically, it's like science says, the sweet spot is where you are challenged in your skills and in your knowledge, but it's still achievable. Of course, you'll burn out if you keep grinding towards a goal that you can't reach because you don't have the skills, you don't have the tools, you don't have the money, you don't have or the funding. And things like that. That's, of course, the recipe for disaster. But being challenged in a realistic way, that's the sweet spot. And that's where I would love to be in for the rest of my career. Exegete writes, was told not to work on anything without a ticket. Every day I'd asked at the beginning of the day and after lunch if they had tickets for me, and the answer was always no. Nice. Perfect. Yes, Doc is of course right. There is this context of actually being able to live. But so in your specific to your specific question, Sky Phoenix, if the starter job will provide you with enough money to live and to do what you want to do and maybe feed your family or depending on your situation, then that's a good thing. Don't bet on business success. don't bet on your company taking care of you. Even if it's a small, pleasant, friendly startup, never put all your eggs into that basket, because that's also a recipe for disaster. And Remitsu is here as well. Welcome to the stack. Happy Tuesday to you. They write, sometimes users/customers don't want to create tickets because the ITSM system is poor. Oh, what a pity. So all you have to do is keep it poor and keep it its UX terrible, and you'll be set and leveling up your World of Warcraft character. SP4 writes, I'm currently working for a startup for 4 years. Yep, great. And I think you already wrote that it's quite a good experience, isn't it? Okay, so I did break something completely, and so yeah, I got the syntax wrong. I'm actually not used to writing these kinds of procs, so let's actually research that properly. Learning time! So what I need to do is Ruby map proc. Yeah, Jason Sweat usually has great advice here. So we have map with a block, but we can also call map with a method name, passing symbols as block. Or using proc new. So how would I have to write this though? So would I? It doesn't. This article doesn't really cover what I want to know, is it? So here's a method that gets past a block, where we can then call block called, but that's not what I need. Here we have proc new, and then, so let's do that. I'll simply define that as a proc. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I think that's what I need to know. All I need to do is fix this, prefix this with proc new. Don't break my indentation, though. If you're confused, proc.new is a method call to the new method on the proc class. Ruby does not require me to do parentheses around that, and I can pass in the code block with its node parameter right away. So that's a perfectly valid syntax, and it's easy to read. Ticket system was a shared Google Doc. Okay, I don't think I have the capacity of thinking that through. Excel as well. Well, I guess Excel is at least a little bit more structured. Exegete asked, have you seen the IT proposal for Ruby 3.4? Yes, I have seen it. It's neat. I think it's really neat because yeah, the matching operator does apply to it. So having this short way of referencing things is nice. Okay, let me quickly check if this works now, and if it does, I'll take a short break and we'll do another ad break just to prevent people from getting pre-roll ads. Let's see, let's go to window number 3. Let's see if this syntax is correct again. And maybe, just maybe, if it actually yields the right results. I called Test Kitchen test again, so it recreates the VM instead of using the already running one. I could have shortened that a little. But it's just another minute. And Chef is running, so at least syntactically we are correct again. Let's see if the test suite is going to be successful as well. And then we'll have to create a test case that actually exercises the code path that works without a port number. Oh, look at that. So here we have a test case that expected the host name to be exporter vagrant up with port 9100. So it relied on the default port being used. And our new code actually did what it was supposed to do and left off the port number. And so that broke the test case. Okay, yeah, we've basically changed the default behavior of this code. Oh, which makes it almost a breaking change, huh? I hate breaking changes because that requires a major version jump and a little bit more red tape. I'll have to see if I can bend the rules here. But other than that, we'll have to adapt the test case. So let me take a look at where that is. That's the Prometheus YAML check. So I guess that's in test integration Prometheus. Let's make this a little wider. Is it node exporter spec? No. Then it's the Prometheus one, isn't it? Yeah, it's this one down here. We should have a scrape config that has the target of exporter 1 port 9100. So I guess what we need to do is simply not rely on the default port assignment, but extend our test setup here. Let's see, where's the Prometheus test suite? That's the Prometheus test suite here. We have a node exporter, scrape configuration, where we say, okay, the target discovery is a static search for the tags Prometheus, which we seem to be setting somewhere else in this test configuration. And what we need to do is actually define a target port. That way, I should be able to run another test kitchen converge. That should fix our configuration, and then the test suite should be successful. Mr. wrote, the most amazing and terrifying thing I encountered in my last job was an application created entirely in Excel. UI, database, and user management through ADDs. I mean, Excel is a slippery slope because it gives people enough rope to hang themselves. And it's a nice entry-level drug to databases, I guess. But then again, well, back when I started doing stuff and these Office applications started proliferating, I could at least tell people you missed the exit where you would have left for Microsoft Access. Unfortunately, there's no Access anymore, so you can't actually point people to a proper Office-based database system, can you? I imagine, Exegete, I imagine. So what do you do nowadays if you actually outgrow Excel and need to do something more sophisticated? Of course, that's the right thing to do. But if people are a little bit more constrained in their choice of tools, say just the core Microsoft experience, is there something where you can point people to? So that's the converge done. Now let's run the verify as well. So that fixed things. Now I have to decide if changing this default port behavior was actually intentional or not. I don't think it was. I mean, that's the easy way out, just by moving the goalposts, but it was a mistake from the get-go to say, okay, if no port gets passed in, we'll use 9100. I didn't know that there would be the demand not having a port at all, just a host name. So we'll classify that as a bug, and so that enables me to make it a patch level change instead of a major version bump. But first, we'll have to have a test case for the actual name-based stuff as well. What's that going to be? We have a Prometheus scrape configuration. We have a node exporter one. Actually, how did this ever work? Oh, because we have a static target list. And the static target list would have required a port number, an explicit one, and since we didn't add one, it doesn't get added. If we changed that to a static search, then the port number would actually matter, and I think that's actually a good way to do this. We'll change that to static search, and instead of a target list, we'll make it a target query. And I think we can actually steal that from above. That'll break another test, I guess, because this static search will return different host names than localhost, as we had that in explicitly before, as it was hardwired. But yeah, I'm happy to adapt that. So let's run this. Let's see what the outcome is. So we're running Prometheus Ubuntu 20.04. I'll enter that VM manually. Prometheus Ubuntu 20.04. I can already log in and become root. I'm not sure if it's already... yeah, it's set up Prometheus already. It's quite quick. Oh, it's finished already. Okay. So let me take a look at the new Prometheus YAML. We changed the... What did we change? The target query for the ping job. Where's the ping job? Here's the ping job. Grep interval is 1 second just to get quick results in the test suite. Otherwise, we would have to have a waiting loop for things to come back, and that always makes tests more complex. Params modules ping, relabel configs, static configs. We have a target, but it's not localhost anymore. It's now the official host name of the test VM. So I guess that'll break a few tests, but then we'll just change the host name in those tests and that should do it. But it does actually work and create a list of hosts without a port number because we haven't provided one. That's nice. Let's actually run the test suite. So let's see how many tests I've broken that way, where they'll expect localhost but get the official host name, just one, where the instance name is expected to be the IP address, and now we get this host name. I guess I'll simply go ahead and copy this, and then I'll try and find where that is happening. That's one of these prompt tool queries. Okay. So I guess that's going to happen in... not here. No, here we only checking YAML. Node exporter? No. Here. And the ping, this one here. So we'll do this. Let's do another verify. That should have fixed this test. Yep. Okay, that looks good. Let's see. Not too many changes. We need to do a few more though. We'll need to bump the cookbook version. So my conscience is rearing its head. It basically is a breaking change, isn't it? Because we've already rolled out this cookbook in production, and we are using it in a very basic way, and so we might actually be already relying on the fact that we don't have to pass in a target port, and it'll automatically use port 9100. So it's actually a breaking change. Let's do things by the book. By the cookbook. Let's make a major version change. We'll see how complex it actually is. Maybe I'm fussing for no reason. So bump major. Oh, that bumps it to version 1.0. Interesting. And of course we'll have to make a change log entry for this new version. It's more like a fix. We're talking about 884. And this time Copilot auto completion doesn't really work. Not adding a port to port number to job targets if none is given. This allows for a list of just host names. But breaks default, or breaks the previous default, default behavior of adding port 9100. Something like that. So that's not only fixed, it's actually breaking. Ooh, that didn't work. Nope, that doesn't work either. How do I do this? I guess we can try it this way. Okay. Supercrow, did you know to hide the default mode status, you can set no show mode, then you have duplicates of it? Do I have duplicates? Oh, you mean I have the insert in the status line and then the insert down there in the other status line. Let's see. No show mode. Set no show mode. No show mode. Oh, yeah, that's nicer. Give me just a second. We'll change this right away. .config and vim. That's, I guess, down here. No need to show mode. We use a status line. Exactly. Cool. Now, thanks for that, Stupak. Great advice. So I guess that's that. Okay. Now we can actually leave this VM, but we'll have to run the full test suite just to see if anything got broken in other corners of our code. So let's do a full rake test. New version, that doesn't exist yet, that's good. We have a changelog entry for this version, but there are style issues. Use proc instead of proc new. Fine with me. Where is it? That's in the recipe. That's up here. So like this. Okay, style issue fixed. Okay, while this is running, I'll take another short break, and then we'll finish this and probably submit a merge request. I'll see you in 2 minutes, and yeah, I'll run another break too, another add too. know what? Test read is still running. I'm not sure if successfully, but let's try another round of words on stream. Everyone ready? Let's continue where we left off. Ah, Balthazar spotted it before me. No tea. Not the bees! There's so many more. We're all missing them. Still, good round. Not good enough, I guess. But it bridged the time for the test suite to finish. And actually, it did finish successfully. I was afraid that I spotted a few breaking tests in between, but I guess that wasn't the case. Okay, so we'll commit this. So the commit is fix Prometheus X do not add port number by default. Target lists can also just contain just host names. So adding a default port is wrong. Sorry for being not too prosaic here. It's too late in the day and I didn't have enough sleep. So that's that. Let's push this and go right ahead and submit a merge request. I can already see that it's going to not transfer the full URL. We are missing the ET- port. No, this works. And I'll just copy the changelog entry into my merge request. Wait a second. I must have... not save the changelog with the breaking entry? Just a second. Yeah. Very strange. Okay. Okay. Assign to me. Don't need approval on this change. It's just a bug fix, even though it's a major change. I don't think a review would make sense here. So let's create a merge request. This will kick off our CI pipeline, which hopefully will confirm that this is all in order. And then I'll be able to use this updated cookbook version in my other cookbook to create the proper host name lists without any default port number. But I'll have to wait for the merge request CI to run through. Then I can merge this and then I can use it in the other cookbook. So there's a short delay in there. And I guess that's not going to finish before the end of today's stream time, which is in about, 15 minutes. So yeah, let's simply have a bit of a chat, or how about some more words on stream, huh? Just a new round. So, just a second. I need to find my Windows here. Let's restart. Oh, let's take a look at the ranking. Theo leading by a far, followed by Stupak, and then me on a far distant third place. Okay. Well then, let's restart things. That's the advantage of a good keyboard. You need to be quick. You can't use the Y twice. Almost snatched it. Layer, that's nice. Earl, that's a nice one. Liar, that's also a nice one. Very medieval of you both as well. Early. Only one left. Can we find it? Oh, we already had real. What's the last final four-letter word? Can't think of anything. Huh. Okay, that was a nice entry round. Skip 3 levels. Let's go. Of course. You're killing me. almost turret if you could use the T twice. Or retro if you could use the... Oh, wait! I'm not sure if I could... Let's wait for the lock. Know your booleans. Churro? Is there a word like that? Okay. Next round. Stupak outdoing me. We already had wind.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Suki! Welcome to the stack. Ah, Stupak! Snatched it from me. Wine, that's something that I'm going to have later. I'm going to make myself a nice risotto. We had rice over from last night, and so I'm going to make myself a nice risotto. I need to go out and fetch some cheese though. Gwen doesn't work because it's a name. What are these words? I wish they would reveal the solutions. So folks, any last questions that you'd like to discuss or topics that you'd like to bring up? Now's the time. We'll do another round, and then we'll wrap things up with a final chat. So post your questions now. Tanned, nice. Is nated a thing? No, it's not. But there's a Dean. Date, of course. Did you notice that it's always me completing the levels? Entered? Interesting. TIL. We're missing an L for dental, unfortunately. We need a repetition for antenna. Come on, NAND is a word. You're computer scientists. Okay, even though we've upgraded our level, I'm actually getting hungry talking about risotto. So we'll go back to chat. Let me take another look at my CI run. That pipeline is still running. I'll keep that on screen for later, but just said job succeeded, so the merge request did pass. So I can go right into the merge request. Ready to merge? Let's go. So that fix is done. I didn't get to anything else. Things that I was planning was maybe continue work on my command line tool for doing my SQL backups. What was the third thing that I wanted to do? Don't quite remember. Anyway, have fun playing Portal tonight? Yeah, I guess I'll give the old Steam Deck a spin and try out how much fun using the gyro feature is. But only after preparing dinner. So I have to go out into the cold and get myself some cheese and a few more things. Yeah, but it'll be a nice, relaxed evening. Balthazar says that he doesn't have any questions, but did just discover a new tuning config option in Traffic that's going to significantly slim down this config. Tell me more. Is it a nice shortcut that expresses something that you had to do very extensively manually? Okay, so this definitely was a very nice live stream, though. Just looking back, it was fun to have you around to play some words on stream, just to keep me occupied and to keep me awake. I'm also happy with my new OBS setup. I'm using a new way to run OBS, which is actually a DistroBox image that Wimpy developed, so I guess that's a good opportunity to give Wimpy's World a shout out. Wait, Wimpy's World? Yeah. Yeah, we did 3 hours today. Even though I was very tired and didn't have enough sleep last night. So I count this as a very successful stream, and we could even end it with a finished merge request. So I'm pretty happy about that. Without a crash, exactly. And not even did OBS not crash. It worked very nicely. Even without the load of plugins that come with this new OBS DistroBox image. So Wimpy Martin added, I think, about 50 plugins to his setup, to this image, including the face tracker that I'm using on my coding scene, if you've noticed that. Even with all these plugins, it worked nicely. I also discovered a bug in my scene switching code. So there's the advanced scene switcher plugin, and I think I had a bug in there that triggered the advanced scene switcher not only when I switched scenes, but all the time. And that might have actually caused these crashes, because after hours of triggering this plugin on a millisecond basis, at one point it probably gave up and crashed OBS. And I switched on that this particular logic only triggered if I actually changed scenes, but not if I'm already in that scene. So that might actually have been the cause of the crashes. So no, I'm happy all around. I'm happy to have you. This was a lot of fun. I did get some actual work done and still have fun doing it. And so that has been a great afternoon. Thanks for that. Thanks for keeping me company. Thanks for keeping me entertained. I'll be back on Thursday, at least if I adhere to my schedule. But since I'm free to do what I want, I might do another stream tomorrow. We'll see about that. Let's not be too optimistic, but maybe you'll see me again tomorrow. And if not, then at least on Thursday, when my next scheduled stream is going to be. And talking about schedule, you can also join our Discord, which is a very friendly community of DevOps practitioners. And on the events list on the Discord server, you can see when I'm going to be streaming. Oh dear! I almost forgot! We have a hangout scheduled for tonight. Tonight at 8 p.m. UTC, which is also 8 p.m. my time here in Ireland, we'll have a hangout on the Discord. So if you want to join me then, in a very happy state as well, because by then I'll have munched my risotto, yeah, we can do a casual chat, and maybe I'll share my advances on the Steam Deck. Maybe there will be some live streaming on Discord. I can always attach the Steam Deck to my streaming here or to Discord. We'll see about that. And so yeah, tonight, 8 p.m. UTC, which is going to be in 3 hours time, there will be a hangout. And then there will be a live stream tomorrow or on Thursday at the latest. Whew. Okay, so friends and colleagues, thanks for everything. This was a lot of fun. Until next time, maybe tonight, take care.